don't show up, it's about what we can actually get out of it, right? We had a conversation last week with Melvina and myself and Miss Betty. Miss Betty, we had a conversation last week. And when I say that Black Push is extremely passionate about working with this gun violence issue, we are extremely passionate about working with this gun violence issue. Because of the fact that we have too many young people. I think from Sunday alone, just looking at from Sunday alone to Monday morning, from Sunday morning to Monday morning, in Atlanta, the city of Atlanta alone, there were 7 shootings in the city of Atlanta alone. And I'm going to put this out on record, out in public information. I want you to know that there's a lot of elected officials that do not really care about this issue. I want to make that clear. There's a lot of elected officials who have walked around, and Dante, you can come sit up here with us, man. There's a lot of elected officials who have walked around, who have said they care about the issue, but I'm telling you from personal experience, I have been in their face, I have spoken to them, that just because they rant on the issue does not mean that when they get in office, they're gonna do anything about the issue. We met with a city council member yesterday, and I won't call out his name, literally where we was talking about gun violence in the city of Atlanta, and he sat there and looked at me and said, okay, well, what's the plan? And he looked like he didn't really care about the issue. So our message today is that even though you may not care about the issue, we care about the issue. Some elected officials, I will say this too, that did reach out to us. They could not be here because they're in session today, and we give them, they've sent representatives. Some of them have sent representatives because they are in session today. So let's give them a round of applause, because those who do stand up for those issues, we do have to make sure that we give them credit. But I'll be honest with you, so I'm gonna be a little bit transparent here. So we reached out to a certain city, and I'm not gonna mention the name of the city, but we reached out to a certain city about a month ago, and we literally said to them, like, you know, we are doing research. There's nobody, this city, you guys don't have a gun task force. Like, how can we work with you guys to build a gun task force? And Jordan's here with me, and the first question that was asked to us, Jordan, am I being correct, is, but does any other city in the state, in the country, have a gun violence task force? And I was shocked and thrown back, because it was a city that was a pretty large city in the state of Georgia. And for you to not know that other cities in the country have gun violence task force is a shame on us as a state, as a country. If you guys watched the debate last night, part of the gubernatorial debate, a big part of it that came up, which is very good for us, was gun violence came up. We heard 3 different people talk about 3 different views they have for gun violence. One person, I think, stated that we don't need any gun violence policies, that the Second Amendment is enough. Governor Kemp stated, and I'm paraphrasing, but he stated that that people should not have to go out and, you know, get a permit. And he reiterated people shouldn't get a permit to be able to carry a gun. And then we also know what Stacey Abrams' view on it was, that we need to protect the Second Amendment right, and at the same time protect our youth at the same time. I'm gonna say I'm not telling you who to choose, but I side with Stacey Abrams on this. We can protect our youth and protect the Second Amendment right at the same time. Just a little bit about me. My name is Sean. I run BlackPush. BlackPush. What are we? BlackPush Incorporated. Today I'm wearing the orange shirt. The reason why I'm wearing the orange shirt is because I'm standing in solidarity with gun violence. I got this from Moms Demand Action on the back of my shirt. It literally says, we will stop gun violence. Not that we can, not that we may, we will stop gun violence. I have traveled in the last 3 months. I've traveled everywhere from Uvalde to Buffalo to Illinois to Highland. I've met with families who just recently lost kids. I've met with families in Uvalde. I've met with people in Buffalo who just literally got shot. We did a gun violence roundtable where we actually had a parent who spoke at that event, who was actually in the store the day that the gunman went into Buffalo and started shooting. We're doing a lot of work around the country when it comes to gun violence, and the question was asked to me, well, you care so much about Buffalo, you care so much about Illinois and all these other places, what about Georgia? Some stats. The state of Georgia, the city of Atlanta, is on track right now to outpace in the amount of shootings they have per day. We're on track to outpace Chicago right now. That should be scary to anybody who stays in this metro Atlanta area. The fact that we're on pace, and I'm not throwing any shade to Chicago, because I love Chicago and we're doing work in Chicago, but Chicago has been like a pinnacle point for how we gauge gun violence in the United States. And for the city of Atlanta, for metro Atlanta to be outpacing them on the amount of shootings, not talking about deaths, the amount of shootings per capita, we're on track to outnumber or to outbeat Chicago this year alone in the amount of shootings we've had. So that tells us that there's more work to be done when we talk about this. So today, we had a conversation with people who were older. We had a conversation with people who were out here protesting for it. We had a conversation at our last roundtable. I thought it was very interesting because if you didn't get a chance to go back and watch, you should go back and watch the video. We had people who were impacted by gun violence, people who lost their kids to gun violence, people who lost their family members to gun violence. We had, in the room, we had DAs and we had a state attorney, or the U.S. Northern Attorney General for whatever, Georgia. He was here, Ryan Buchanan was here. But we also had a lady who had just stood up in the very end of the conversation and was like, I just got out of jail because I shot someone. So the conversation was very interesting because you got to hear from the perspective of being a victim. You got to hear from the perspective of also being the one on the other side of the aisle where you've actually been the one who is charged with committing this crime. And I want to have a conversation about, let's be realistic, right? Reality is that I would love to say to you guys that we can get guns off the streets tomorrow. It's not happening. The next 50 years in America, we're not getting guns off the streets. But what can we do to make sure that we can combat that? How can we deal with it? So I'm going to make a public announcement here today that is very much new. BlackPush is taking this on as such an initiative that you guys sit in. Right now we're in Fulton County. If you go across the hallway where the gym sits at and where our offices are at, it's DeKalb County, literally. And we are taking over the second floor of that part of the building, the east building. And the whole purpose of what we're going to be ready to do on that second floor is really going to be geared around youth and families and combating gun violence. We're going to implement mental health programs in there. We're going to be dealing with mental health from the perspective of becoming creative, right? So we're going to become as creative as dealing with mental health using African drums. How do we deal with mental health and using African drums? We're going to become creative in how do we deal with people as far as helping them get resources to get jobs? How do we deal with youth in order to get them off the streets and stop being water boys and teach them how to become their own business owners? How do we deal with youth from the school perspective? We're going to be doing conflict resolution up there. So how do we teach them how to, instead of being offended or wanting to shoot somebody when you get upset with them, how do you just be upset with somebody and just be able to talk to from man to man, have a conversation? We're going to be dealing with, what does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be a woman? What does it mean to be a husband? What does it mean to be a wife? The whole center will be geared around all of that. And we're bringing in partners that may not do, because BlackPush doesn't do all that itself, but it's a collective effort. One of the things that I am very much inclined to do is that when we do this, I understand that one of us can't do this alone. It takes moms demand action. It takes every town. I was texting a guy by the name of Fred Guttenberg. If y'all don't know who Fred Guttenberg is, Fred Guttenberg's son was lost in Parkland. And as you guys may or may not know, and last week in Parkland, they finally convicted the person who did the Parkland shooting. And then I think the jury passed down a verdict of life in prison without the death penalty. And for some of those family members, that was very much a gut punch for them. And depending on what side of the aisle you stand on, you see it and you view it differently. But I also wanted you guys to just be aware that one of the biggest things that we can do, and I want everybody to really pay attention to why I say this part, it's not enough to just protest in the streets. All right? I love being in the streets. I have a megaphone in my office, but that is not enough. The big solution to this is going to be, we have to change policy. We have to get policy enacted. And I need two up here, though, Jordan, for them. But one thing about it is that when we say we can't, and I'll end by saying this, when we say we can't get policy passed, I'm going to give you a quick story. There's an organization we work with called Bar Business. Bar Business is a very small nonprofit. A lot of people don't know who they are. But they went and they had a goal, right? They had a mission, and they collaborated with a whole bunch of organizations, ACLU and all these other people, and they wanted to pass legislation in the city of Atlanta, what they call immunity for people who are ex-offenders. And what it does is that it will prohibit, let's say that you're a landlord and you were discriminating against people for having a background. In the city of Atlanta, very soon, a landlord will not be able to discriminate against you for having a background. Small organization. They only have about 4 or 5 people that work with the organization. That bill passed in the city of Atlanta yesterday, 16-0. 16-0. So what I'm trying to say is that don't get so caught up in small beginnings and think that a small voice cannot make a difference, right? Also, another bill that was up in the city council yesterday was to open up ACDC early because there was a provision in there where it said that they had to give a 90-day report, and we were all nervous because they were trying to strip that 90-day report out of the whole bill, right? Again, yesterday, we went down there, we advocated for it, it failed 9-6. So what am I trying to tell us is that don't get caught up in how many people are in the room. Get caught up in where your heart is at about the issue. Take your babies with you wherever you go. Take the fact of, and not only your babies that are past and gone, take the babies that are yet still alive with you wherever you go. One of the things, the reason why I'm so passionate about this issue is because when I go to Buffalo, I see my mom, right? And she's still very much alive, but I think about the fact that my mom shouldn't walk in the Publix and be afraid to go in the Publix in Fort Lauderdale. I have an 88-year-old auntie, and I remember one day I was asking her, I was like, you know, auntie, why don't you go to the grocery store? I'm gonna take you to the grocery store. And what she said to me, Melvina, shocked me because she was like, no, baby, I don't want to go to the grocery store. And this is right after Buffalo happened. And I'm like, why don't you want to go to the grocery store? She said, because I'm not safe there anymore. We owe it to our generations that have come before us to do a better job about this issue. So today we're going to hear from you. This video will be streamed all over the country, all over the world. We're going to push this video out everywhere. I'm going to make sure the mayor's office see it, everybody who's running for office. We will hold them accountable to doing something about gun violence, because we cannot sit back and continue to allow what's happening in our streets to continue to happen. So some of the things that we're going to do after this is not only we're going to have a conversation with young people today, and give the kudos to all the young people who are here today who will get a chance to talk about some of the issues in our, and Dante, this is the only one I know so far, and that looks like your brother. He got to be your brother, ain't it? I could tell. Dante is somebody I met last week, but he was so impressive to me. And one of the things that I told him is that I'm gonna really put him up as the face of this, because I love the fact that he looks one way, but for those who have not met Dante, when he opens his mouth, you're gonna see a whole nother side, right? And we have to change the dynamic also to that. Stop judging me based upon how I look, because too many people are in the grave based upon how they look, right? And I'm tired of, as a pastor, as a preacher, I preach here, I'm a minister here at First Iconium. I am tired of saying ashes to ashes, dust to dust over young people and older people who should not. Again, if we're going to be pro-life and say God controls life, that means that I don't have a right to take a gun and take a life. So we're going to be very instrumental in this today. We're going to make sure this video gets everywhere. We're going to promote it. We're going to make sure everybody sees it online. You may get some hateration. It is okay, okay? And I'm so much in this fight with you, literally, that I think when we did the gun violence roundtable, we got a whole bunch of, we got death threats through Instagram, through Facebook. I can show them to you, but it does not make a difference, right? The mission is bigger than that. The mission is bigger than that. So we won't be scared. We make it a public endorsement that we're not scared. We're not scared of who we have to vote out of office, and we're not scared of who we have to vote in office. But whether you're Democrat or Republican or independent or what is that, libertarian, we don't care who you are. If you have a voice in this space and you're willing to use that voice in that space, then you've got my vote already. I don't care who you are, because gun violence is just that important. So with that being said, I have set up here with me a great young man named Dante, who's going to get an opportunity to speak. And I also have my brother here with me from, introduce your organization and your name again. I am really bad with names, y'all. I'm getting old.
Yeah, how you doing? I'm Leonard Dungy with Hope Hustlers. I don't know if we are a violence prevention program, formerly Business Unlimited. It was founded by my mom some years ago when she found out that I was out here doing what I was supposed to be doing. So yeah, we were nationally recognized by the White House and the CDC. What we do works, and it's public. We take a public health approach, not a political approach. And so we treat it like a pandemic. Interrupt the transmission, prevent the spread, and change group and social norms. Same thing we did for COVID, but it works for gang violence and gun violence in general. So that's been a problem here in Georgia. I just got back from New York last week. The mayor of New York, we marched from 14 miles. We marched from the Barclays Center to Manhattan. We spoke on City Hall and across the 59th Street Bridge to Queensbridge projects. And it was one of the most beautiful things that I've ever been a part of, because it's a shame that I have to go all the way to New York to be recognized for the work that I do. We're here in Atlanta, Georgia. Let's just say the city, because DeKalb County, Fulton County, and surrounding counties are on our team. City of Atlanta, not so much. But that's okay. Because I don't do it for them. I do it for him, for y'all. So, right, and Johnny T, I've been going through this for 15 years, and nobody gave a darn, I'm in church, but yeah, nobody cared about violence prevention until there was money involved from it, and so now the politicians that care are the ones that see they can get some money from it. But I ain't breaking nobody. I'm taking it back to the community, giving it to them. Those resources you talk about, that's how we have to do it. I can't ask a young man to put a gun down if I can't replace it with something more than $10 an hour. It ain't gonna work. Especially if that man is in the street really getting money. I have to teach him how to be an entrepreneur. I have to teach him how to use his hustle skills to make things happen. And that's what we do.
And so I'm going to allow Dante to introduce himself. I kind of feel like, and I don't say this about a lot of people, I love. I'm a young person myself, but I feel like I'm getting old, man. And I love young people. So Dante, introduce yourself.
Well, I'm Dante McClure.
Hey, and this is a rap. You ain't got to hold it like that. This ain't no rap thing, man.
But I'm Dante McClure, and I want to talk about a couple of things about the younger generation. Basically, another gun violence thing that we don't talk about is suicide. And a lot of us do die from suicide because at 22, I'm gonna go ahead and be honest, I sleep in my car. But I'm saying that to say the pressure of life comes on us at a young age, and the older generation. Oh, okay. I didn't even see.
Nah,
But
that's what I want you to do.
okay. But we're not. Basically, the older generation is not teaching us to fish, and without knowing how to fish, we eat one time and we're like, I'm hungry again. I'm hungry in a few hours, and we gotta pay bills. We gotta live. You feel me? And the younger generation is not living while we're alive. We're just surviving. And that's where the violence is coming in. So I feel like as a community, we need to figure out how we're doing more than survive and live. What are we gonna do? Like, how do we live within surviving, basically? And along with that, I got my brother right here and my brother right there. And if y'all can, pass out some of the business cards. I do sell life insurance. And the reason why I want to pass these out is because as a younger generation, we lack the knowledge on life insurance. Basically, life insurance, okay, for y'all who don't know, life insurance is for when somebody not expecting to die, and now the family has to raise a GoFundMe. The family has to do this and a fish fry and this and that just to bury the child. Or maybe they don't even get to bury the child. Like, for instance, when my sister died, we didn't get to bury my sister. She didn't have life insurance and she left behind 5 kids. The whole family feuded, and now the family is still split apart. And it's been 3 years. I say that to say, we need to inform our community more than just, oh, this and that. We need to tell them why we're doing this and that. We need to tell them why we're stopping the gun violence. Why is it hurting our community? We killing ourselves more than the white people are, if you want to be honest. And I'm not racist, nor am I trying to bring into racism. But one thing as a black community, we do like to bring out the race. Honestly, we like to bring out the race. I don't want to bring out the race because if you want to be honest, killing's happening in every race. Killing's happening in every race. And we need to stop the gun violence as a whole. We don't need to put it on just, oh, well, the blacks killing the blacks or police killing the blacks. We killing this, period. We need to stop the killing, period. And we need to heal as a country, as a community. And I feel like in order to do that, it's knowledge. So as long as we give knowledge more to the younger generation and not just stop them, hey, don't wear that, don't wear that. No, come to where we at. So I want y'all to, y'all as the older generation, to come to where we at and not look at us down like, you got dreads. Like he said, I got dreads. So a lot of people look at me differently when I have dreads and I open my mouth and I talk of intellect. So I'm just saying that to say, like, don't look at somebody with dreads and say, oh, I don't want to talk to him. He ain't ready to hear what I got to say. Man, come to where they at and say, you know what? I'm going to accept you as you are, and we're going to work with that. So that's all I want to say, and I make sure everybody has some Globe Life insurance cards out here.
And I will say this, so, and maybe I should just let you come sit up here because, you know, visual is everything. So come sit up here, but everybody will get, I mean, this is a dialogue. So I want to make that clear, right? So just because you're sitting there does not mean that you don't have a part in this conversation. I'm going to literally come to everybody because a lot of what we do too, and I want to make this clear, is a lot of what BlackPush does too is that when you guys tell me stuff, I take all that in, and everywhere I go, literally, I take that message wherever I go. So if I go to a city council member, I talk to them about it. If I go to the White House, I talk to them about it. If I go to the Capitol, I talk to them about it. So it was funny because the other night I was at an event with DHS, and we were having brunch on the Sunday. We were talking politics, and somebody was so nosy. You know how people are. They're so nosy. And before I know it, the whole outside balcony is talking politics with us. So at one point, I just pull up my phone, and I was like, okay, you know, what did you have to say to Senator Warnock? What did you have to say to Stacey? Okay, I want to make sure they get this because they need to hear from what you have to say. So I want you to know that this video will be used for that, to be used to share their message and share your story. So everybody will get opportunity to say something. So don't be trying to run from the camera. We're coming to you. Even if you're sitting in the pews, we're coming to you.
Okay, so I'm about solutions. And for me, to end gun violence, we have to have solutions. We have to have a self-interest in what we're doing. And if you're a nonprofit that does basketball, domestic violence, or whatever the case may be, we have to have that common self-interest into, if we're gonna help the community, then you gotta remember that addressing these issues of gun violence, crime, any type of violence has to be at the forefront, because when you have that nonprofit, you are the solution. The reason I invited a lot of these people here is because they're solutions. For instance, to say like Mr. Tony over here with Georgia Vocational Solutions, he's a solution because these young people, when they don't understand, and I always say this, and I know people tell me not to say that, but the love of money is the root of all evil, but also the lack of money is the root of all evil, because when people don't have it, they kill, they rob, they steal, they destroy. And so if they can't understand the value of getting a job, and what I do with my organization is I sit them down and we go over. If you got a car payment, we write down the amount of everything and we add it all up, and then we go and we look for those jobs that's gonna meet that type of payment that they're gonna need. And if not, we take them to get the training that they need, and that's why you have all these people out here, because I can't do it all, but if she can train him up and get him the certification that he needs to get the dollar amount that he needs, and I can take him to Tony, and Tony can get him the dollar amount for that job. Not only that, but get them a job that has benefits. You understand what I'm saying? And like he said with the life insurance, what people don't understand, that is a solution, because if we all purchase life insurance, I guarantee you gun violence will decrease at a major. Because what happens is, those people that know about life insurance, that right there is an investment, okay? Something that we don't know about, but we'll go out here and invest in shoes and hair and eyelashes and everything else. But if we invested in life insurance, come on now, I'm telling you, that's an investment. And we got to change our mindsets and get filled with knowledge. Also, another thing for me is our communities. We have these properties that's just sitting there and we don't know about it. If we clean up the way that our communities look, I promise you, people will change their mindset and they will take better care and they will engage more into taking care of their community. Because it's just like this. If you come through the community and all you see is trash, what are you going to do? You're going to treat it like trash. You understand what I'm saying? But if you come there and you have this nice, beautiful house, something that you may have never thought that you own, we don't own things. So that's why we don't take care of things. But if you look at the communities that own their houses, you don't have none of that. And these are the things that are part of solutions. We also have, like Miss Letitia, she has a whole basketball gym. They put in work with these children every day. Conflict resolution, you see what I'm saying? So these people are part of the solution. Having places where you can send your children. Pastor David here, he has a young boy named David. He talk about the things that a lot of us don't talk about. He talk about the child molestation. We talk about the bullying. He has in a way that these kids can understand and receive it. You see what I'm saying? Mike Willie right here, he left the NFL to come to be boots on the ground to make a difference in his community. He lived the American dream, but he said God has a bigger purpose for him. So he's out here in the community. Mr. Strong back here, he does it for the men coming out of incarceration, make sure they have a second chance. But he don't just give them a second chance. He allowed them to get their second chance. He gives them the fresh start. He don't just give it to them. He teaches them how to go get it, like he said. We have to stop giving people fishes and start teaching them how to fish. That means when we go out, it's okay for me, and I tell people I was boots on the ground. I used to go, and they'll tell you I pull an event together, and I have so much food and so much clothes, so much, but my mama Betty over here had to tell me, Melvina, we got to stop funding poverty. We got to teach these people. You know, I told a guy the other day, I want to give you $10,000 for book bag restock. No, I need you to take that $10,000 and invest it in them mothers so they don't have to come to you for book bags. You understand what I'm saying? Show them how to go get them book bags for themselves, not give it to them. So that's why I'm here. I bought all these people, Mama D, all these people. They are solutions. They are the ones out here that's unrecognized. They're the ones that put in the work to try to help. So with me saying that, we need to make sure that the money is allocated to the ones that's boots on the ground, making sure that they have strong programs. He takes in people who have records and will give them a good job with benefits. That's what we need, because when they're coming out of incarceration, it's going to be a repeated cycle of violence all over if they can't get a job to stay away from what put them in there in the first place. So if that makes sense. So that's where I'm at with it. Strengthen these programs.
We have dead battery went dead. But one of the things that I want to point out, right? No, you can stay up here. Right? Make a difference. One of the things that I want to point out too is that, so I want you guys to really understand the importance of collaboration, right? When I say that I learned hard in the last 2 weeks. I learned something really powerful, right? I learned that PACs are very powerful. In 2 weeks, it took me 2 weeks to learn that PACs were very powerful. When you think about even, I'm going to use Moms Demand Action as an example. They sit under the PAC of Everytown Solutions, right? I mean, Everytown, right? In Everytown Gun Safety, literally within that PAC, there's Moms Demand Actions. There's about 50 different organizations that are part of that PAC, right? And the reason why that's so important is because when they go looking for federal money, it's a lot easier for every town to get federal money because of the fact, and what they do is they take that federal money and it stays within their PAC, right? We have to become creative about this, right? When I talk about that, I was telling somebody the other day that one of the things I want to do when we talk about this second floor is that everybody who comes up there, we need to create a PAC. We need to work together. We need to submit these proposals together. It's not about BlackPush. It's not about Hope Hustlers. It's not about anybody. It's about the organization itself, the structure itself coming together. And I love the fact that we have an ex-NFL player here, because I'm going to come to you. I'm going to come to everybody around here because I think it's important to hear their stories. I had a conversation about a couple of months ago, actually. I used to have an ex-NFL player who played for the Miami Dolphins who sat on my board, and I was down in Fort Lauderdale. And I met with this young guy who had just turned 26, and he used to play for the Colts, and he was a running back for the Colts. And he had retired at 26. And I'm like, what? Are you crazy, man? You're in the prime of your life. How much they paid? They were paying you, what, $2 million a year to just sit on that bench? Let me go run. And he was like, yeah, the money was great, but what I had to do, and they're like, you don't understand what goes on behind the scenes in that locker room. You don't understand there's times where you don't feel good. And I'm a Dolphins fan, so now I'm starting to understand. Like, we don't care if you have a concussion or not. Get back out there and throw that football. But the amount that you have to put your body through in order to do so. And I think that's important that when we have people in this space, one thing that we have to do is we have to change the narrative in our community that success is the NFL. Success is the NBA. Success is being on HBO or being in a commercial, right? No, it's not. Success is, Andre Dickens is whether you like his policies or not, he's a success because he's the mayor of the city of Atlanta. Whether you like his policies or not, he's a success. Obama was a huge success. But even if you're not Obama, even if you're the local garbage man, you are a success. Why? Because the reality is that, imagine this, just for a moment. Imagine if nobody came to your house every Wednesday and picked up your garbage. And sometimes we don't even go to think about that, right? I tell people in my office all the time, if the way I judge my success is not by how many people see me on TV and not by how many likes I get online. If something was to happen in my life right now, if I can get up and get on a flight and go to Fort Lauderdale to check on my mom because she's in the hospital and she's sick, I'm successful. And somebody looked at me and was like, what do you mean? Like, you don't want $1 million? No, I don't need $1 million. If I can get up and do what I need to do, that's success. And we have to change that narrative that in order to be successful, you have to be on somebody's TV, you have to be on somebody's football field, you have to be in somebody's gym. And that's the reason why I say, like, I don't have a problem. Like, I know Atlanta's doing something we call midnight basketball. I have no problem with that. None at all. I love it, right? I know the person who does the little MCing for it. But the thing is, though, why can't we teach our children to do arts? Why can't we teach them that, you know what, go to, like, I know a young man in Gwinnett right now. His dream is to go to Juilliard. Why can't I encourage him that's successful? If you want to go to Juilliard and he got a full-paid scholarship, son, you are successful. Not many people get a full-paid scholarship to Juilliard, right? We have to change that dynamic. One of the things, and before I open it up, but one of the things that I was thinking about the other day, I was telling the city council member that I grew up in the neighborhood in Fort Lauderdale. We call it Royal Palm. And back in the day when I was growing up in the 1990s, and, you know, some of y'all are a little bit younger than me, like Jordan. Back in the 1990s when I was growing up, Royal Palm was a very dangerous community, right? It was not safe to go outside. And I was the antisocial kid, so I stayed inside the house anyway. I never went outside. But I look at my sister and my brother, and it's funny because I can't say I haven't gotten into trouble in life. I'm not saying I haven't gotten in trouble, but as far as when I was a child, you never see me out in a lot of those street things because it just wasn't a desire for me. My brother and my sister grew up in a totally different space where they were always out. I remember one particular night where somebody came banging on our door, and they're like, Brandon got shot, Brandon got shot. I'm like, what? Brandon got shot, and that was my brother. And he had been shot, and he was at his friend's house hanging out till like 2 a.m. in the morning. Somebody brought a gun, didn't know how to use the gun. The gun ended up going off. He got shot in the back. And till today, my brother still has that bullet in the part, I forgot where it's at, but he still has the bullet in his body because if they surgically remove it, it would paralyze him or kill him. But he still has that bullet in his body. But I remember that moment, and I was telling the city council member, I'm like, the only thing I could think of that separated me and my brother and my sister was that I stayed in the arts. They did not. My sister was in the arts for a certain amount of time, and then she got out of it, and then she took a different path. But the arts was really my savior, right? Why can't we teach our children that we can do more? Why can't we teach our youth? So now, like, for you guys, so I hear that some of you guys have organizations out here. Some of you guys are doing work in communities. Some of you guys are pastoring and all this kind of stuff. What are some of the things that you guys think are some of the solutions that we can do? So last meeting, we talked about the problem. We know what the problem is. The question I have for you today is, what are some of the solutions to it? And Jordan, I'm going to ask you to definitely take notes on this part because I will forget some of this stuff before the end of the day. And we're going to open it up. We're going to go around. I guess Miss Betty has the mic already now. So because she has the mic, you can go ahead and give us some of those solutions, Miss Betty.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say good morning to everybody and thank you to BlackPush and to First Iconium Baptist Church, where the Reverend Timothy Mcdonald is pastor on behalf of grieving relatives in every violent event, which is a homicide support group. We'd like to say thank you for this platform. I am a mother whose son was murdered. He was 25 years old. He was murdered by a 16-year-old in the city of Atlanta in 1993. I do have a 501c3 support group, whereas our mission is to support families who've been affected as a result of gun violence with resources, compassion, benefits, whatever we can do to help them with the funds that we have in our treasury. That being said, we're here today for solutions. I've done this for almost 29 years. My son has been gone. I'm also retired out of law enforcement. I have over 30 years of law enforcement. I processed many a crime scene. I've also testified in court on murder cases, but you never understand until it actually happened to you. So I've experienced both aspects of violence, the victim and the judicial aspect. We've talked about a lot of things so far this morning, and one of the solutions that I believe we need to come up with and come together collectively, we need police need cultural sensitivity training in the Black community, whereas we're upset when the white police officers kill our children, but when we kill each other, we don't say a doggone word. Where is the outrage when we kill each other? So we gotta hold our elected officials also accountable. Number two, I think that we need intervention programs, and that's why we're here today. We've got so many people sitting here with boots on the ground, but where is the money? Where is the money going to programs who actually got solutions? And we need to hold people accountable for this money that's not being used for the programs that actually have solutions. I do believe in accountability. I don't care who you are or what color you are or what city it is. Thirdly, we need to address the issues of systematic racism in today's society, where it disproportionately affects us. These are our children that's dying. We as parents, grandparents, we have a responsibility because we are their first teacher, and it starts at home. So that being said, again, I think my definition of success is doing for self. That's what we need. So I'm going to turn the mic over. I'm going to make sure that I collaborate with each other, family members. If you know someone that has lost, a loved one, to gun violence, feel free to visit our website at grievingrelatives.org. Thank you so much for allowing us to speak.
Real quick, I mentioned that we're going to keep Mike going around, so if she passes you a mic, don't be offended. But everybody's going to get a mic at some point, so we'll spread it out. But we have 2 other mics, so while he's speaking, we'll give the mic to somebody else, and we'll make sure it just continues to flow around. My brother, introduce yourself too, so I can try to remember your name.
Yes, sir. Mike check. All right. How you doing? I'm Mike Willie. I'm from Compton, California. Born and raised. Just a little quick story about myself. Born in Compton with all the trials and obstacles in the way for me to become stronger. I love football my whole life. Well, I loved it after my mom put me in there because I was that problem child where, put them in something or the police or just the world would just suck me in. So long story short, God had his hand on me and he put me in all the right angles. Went from high school to not knowing if I was going to graduate from high school, then actually having all the offers in high school and not even to take on those challenges because my grades wasn't right. I wasn't even withinly full with my godly ways. So had to go the junior college route. Fixed the little things, got better. Now I was able to go to D1, never even knew I was gonna be going to college. Went to Arizona State University, criminal justice major, worked my butt off to just get to the NFL. So I got that opportunity, I picked up by the Chargers, man, I was like, man, that was a blessing just for me and my family. So I went to the Chargers, got injured, went to the Ravens. After that, it was more on, oh, who am I now? Now it's kind of, okay, that football forever type of deal is kind of out the way. So did that, went to Canada, chasing football for a little bit, but then I got so just down and more suicidal. Because remember, I thought I was just hoorah, hoorah. Now I'm back home and now it's like nobody see me. So it's kind of have to switch over. Now you have to find who you really are. Now you have to kind of walk by sight, walk by faith and not by sight. And that's what I have to understand, you know, really transitioning, really submitting to the real power, you know, understanding that. So after I found that out, I went back home. I'm sitting down. It was getting crazy for me where I had to understand where I was really from. And guess what? I ended up running for mayor of Compton. So I went back home after NFL, run for mayor of Compton. Came back now, I'm actually one of the top picks. Now they're like, oh, who is this young brother coming back home to Compton, tattoo, hat to the back, Chuck Taylor's Compton that I am, coming back home. Because this is what I am. I made it out the hood, so I'm gonna come back to the hood as I am, to communicate with the people that understand this communication. We would, in a city full of people that need a different type of communication. So came back home, ran for mayor, didn't win, but it opened up doors inside myself, opened up doors within people that looked up to the style of person I am, and I didn't win. But after that, God brought me out here because my baby playing football out here is a superstar, young Mike Willie, and came out here to Atlanta, and my whole mission coming to Atlanta, it was all in my head and in my notebooks and all my paperwork, but then me praying on it and really praying on it and why I'm really here and really praying on it and really following the map within inside me, because it ain't nothing I can see, it's all I can feel at the end of the day. So I felt it, I seen it, and then guess what? I get in a car ride and I'm meeting with another person that's the gatekeeper. Then they bring me to somebody else that's a Neo or you know, all the different major characters. I'm running to all those major characters because it was within me. It's this word out here, I don't know if it's astral plane. It's dang near when you sleep and you can go out and you can find, you know, so you gotta let your soul be able to search. You can be asleep at those times, but you have to be in peace. I'm not gonna get off track, but all to say is God divined me with the things that I need to get my mission done. My mission now in Atlanta, besides going to the NFL and doing all these things that help my resume, is to build a multi-purpose facility that has all the different resources that we need. Why can't we collaborate, just like we can get a Target and collaborate all the different lotions and oils and Pampers and things that we need for food, why can't we collaborate with a multi-purpose facility that tends to all our needs? Resources that handle the things that we need for Job Corps and all those things for communication between parent to kid, letting them know that I am the mom and I can whoop your butt and put you in check. Understanding, no, that's a joke, but we still understanding that fact of parenting and getting those helps with the jobs, and then still having the sports and directing it to that, or still even having the military. It's different sectors that we can create a one-stop shop for our babies, and that's gonna be stopping the gun violence, because give our babies something else to, somebody, you know, we said giving our babies something to work hard for and something that's worth something just as valuable as life, that's gonna help them out. So being that character, only reason I ran because I needed my brothers like you that look like me and understand the language to know that, oh, it's somebody else frontlining for what I'm looking forward to. You know, because I came from nothing. Mama didn't, I had Chuck Taylors on my feet and I'm hose at the bottom of them, but I'm just so smooth, I'm gonna walk and not pick up my feet too much, you know, until that day did come. And I prayed on it every day. So you getting your blessings. So we gotta know what blessings are. Blessings ain't the jewels and the clothes, because I could pull up with all the diamonds and the jewels and everything, but that's not the blessing. That's why God took the NFL from me, because I'm worth 100 trillion on the field. I will throw somebody in the stands, you feel me? Because I was taking that 90s baby era to this new era, but I'm full Compton, I'm full go. Like, I'm full go. That's why God put me in an arena where they need a full soldier. You know, I didn't go to the military because my mission is to be able to communicate and not be able to snipe somebody with a calm mind, you know. I need to be calm but turned up at the same time so I can communicate with my people, you know, and be listening to my people, because one thing, a great leader is a listener, and a great leader is a great follower. So I sit my butt down and I follow. If you look at all the people I came with, they all people that you follow. I'm following because you find something that you want to be like and you try to be like that. And guess what? You're going to start being like it. You put that apple with all the other rotten apples, what he going to rot. All the other apples going to rot. But if I put that good old apple with all the, you know, we know. But I'm Mike Willie, I'm here on a mission. I'm walking in faith and not by sight. And, you know, it's more for us to do, but the more for us to do is take action now and collaborate. because we can't do it by ourselves. And if we collaborate, we'll get the mission done, and we just keep on collaborating, and we just multiply it. Just like buying property, just like opening up a business and putting it in 100 states. Because there's multiple states out here. I'm just saying 50 in here, but it's 50 somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? So I'm Mike Willie. Let's get it going.
So I would say this, that you brought up one point about having a center. So we go back to what BlackPush is doing. We have the space. We have the space. We have access to the space. It's empty right now. We're doing nothing with it. And we just got access to it, like, what is it, 2 weeks ago, Rondell? So we just had a meeting the other day where we brought in some partners, literally, or one partner came in yesterday. And I want to invite you back out on Friday because we're going to be meeting with other partners to kind of show them the space again and to kind of map out the vision. So you on my vision board now. And I like people who, the Bible says, where there's no vision, the people perish. So we need vision, and we need people who care about it. So we have the space. And even if you want to, before you leave today, and I can show it to you, we have the space. So we're ready to get rolling on that.
Yes, sir. I'm ready.
Say hello to everyone. You guys know that I'm thankful for everyone that's here. We opened up our facility located in College Park off of Old National 2 years ago. I met Melvina about a year ago. It's been a struggle. Like you said, just having resources, getting out there from the beginning when we had nothing to give back to the community off of our own resources. And having a lot of people coming in and saying what they can do, what they'll bring, but wondering what opportunity will make money off of the needs of others. So again, I'm just so thankful to see other people that are like-minded that really are out here trying to reach into the community because that's what we're about. We deal with the youth a lot. We have girls and boys programs. We offer basketball training. We want to offer cheer and other things like you said, speaking of like the arts. But just like we're lacking in funding, we're lacking a people resource. Again, people will come in with all these ideas, but it's more about how they can benefit. So when I say solutions, we got a lot of solutions that we offer. This is my lead department. He has the boys program, manifesting greatness. And the other piece, again, not a lot, but it's off of our own resources. Nobody's really bringing resources to us. Melvina and I actually sat down with a politician. I won't say his name, but it was all about how we can help him. It's nothing about helping the program. So that's a real issue with, bringing resources to the people who really need it. Manifesting greatness.
We're actually doing, we'll be starting what's called an S League. S League is like a recruitment league. Yes, so we talk about that after. One of the things the White House and the CDC has entrusted my organization with is vetting young organizations like yourselves, because we deal with the highest risk. We don't turn anyone away. When I say we prevent violence like a pandemic, I have to go to where the disease is, because violence spreads like a disease. When we talk about black on black crime and white on white crime, like you said, crime and violence is done in proximity. So if we are here right now, we're on some positive. So we're going to regurgitate that when we leave here. If we're in a group of people that's negative, we're going to regurgitate that to leave here. When a young man is talking about that, it's not about, even we talking about the gang thing. The gangs ain't even, they locked up the two most notorious gangs in the city. So the violence is not really being committed by the gangs per se. They may think they're in gangs. That man, no, I used to run with his big homie, Freeway Rick and them. So that's how I got in the game. I'm a 70s baby. And I also have no problem calling out politicians. I'm gonna just go ahead and put that out there too. So, but I just wanted to say that for all of you, maybe that's something we can talk about afterwards. Sean, we're already doing stuff together. So that's part of my job, is because after 15 years, I've watched my mother give back millions of dollars to politicians for that same exact reason. She said, "Sir, I would rather you have this money than to watch these Negroes fight over it." And so now I have been blessed, put in a position that she's retiring, but I've been blessed in that there's funding for us. You ain't got to wait 15 years. So it's good that we're all here in this space, because that's kind of what my role is now, deal with the highest risk. And once I get these people, I have to take them somewhere. We're all over Atlanta. So if I get somebody from College Park, now I know where to take them. If I get somebody from Gwinnett, now I know where to take them. So that's how it works for us. So I just wanted to, kind of put that out there for y'all. There is funding. We finna get this money.
And I want to add to that. So we actually just had a meeting with somebody at the city, had kind of hired. He's not really hired, but he's a consultant. He works out of Chicago, but he literally has been tasked with kind of building a collaboration of nonprofits, smaller nonprofits in the Atlanta area. And they're working with Microsoft, they're working with Amazon, with the Jeff Bezos Foundation, and there's money, again. And me and him were just texting the other day. And I want to, listen, I am very much, and because we're in the church, I'm going to go churchy on you guys, all right? My pastor tells me all the time, he says, whatever there's vision, God will always provide provision. Wherever there's vision, God will always provide provision. If we come into this room only looking at the resource aspect of it, we've lost the battle already. And I want to make sure we're clear. If we come into this room only looking at I understand the resource aspect of it. BlackPush has been self-funded by me for 2 years. But if we come into the room only looking at the financial aspect of it, we're always going to be down. We're always going to be depressed because the bank account ain't going to never look the way we need it to look. I'm telling you now. But if we put our heart in the right place, and we do it with the right motivation, no matter what you come from, no matter what faith you believe in, because I'm in the church and I'm Christian, I'm going to say, I do believe that Negro from Nazareth is still spiriting dollars around, okay? And I believe that he is still a miracle worker, a way maker. So I don't even, BlackPush, one thing you'll learn about working with me is we don't get caught up in how much it costs, okay? We'll figure that part out. We don't get caught up in how we gonna keep the lights on. We'll work on that part, like literally. So I'll tell a true testimony. There's a person who came to me the other day and she said, I needed assistance paying my red lights, right? And we have a program with Georgia Power where we can help people pay their light bill. So I reached out and found out that the person had a prepaid account. So we have a process where it takes like 7 days for them to make the payment. So I reached out to Georgia Power and I was like, listen, this person got a prepaid account. I know that we don't usually work with prepaid accounts, but I need you to work with this prepaid account. And this is what I need you to do. And the first question the lady asked me from Georgia Power, she said, well, how many days are y'all gonna need? I said, well, it takes them about 10 business days to cut checks and stuff like that. So give them 10 business days. She said, well, how about I give you 14? When there's vision, God always provides provision for his vision. So one thing that if you don't listen, know that you are partnering with somebody who knows what it's like to have $50 in the bank account and don't know how you're going to push payroll through, but you know God worked that thing out. And he will always do that. So I'm telling y'all now that you're working with somebody who works off faith, and I don't care about how it looks. We're going to continue to press forward no matter regardless, because at the end of the day, before I do any of this, I'm a ministry first, and I love ministry. And you're talking to somebody who has literally been at the pinnacle of death and seen God turn around my situation. And if he's done it for me before, he'll do it for me again. So I want y'all to know that if you partner with me on this initiative, we're not worried about what the bank account look like. We'll find the money. We'll help you find the money. And even if our people who we think should give us the money don't give us the money, we'll go out and raise the money. So we will figure that part out. We'll work together to do that, and we're a partnership. And the one thing that I will say is that I don't want to make any commitments to anybody here. Let's make it clear. Sean is not making any commitments that I have money to give you. Let's make that clear. Sean is making a commitment that I'm willing to stand out on the battlefield with you, and I'm willing to collaborate with you, and I'm willing to share whatever resource I may have with you. I am not one that cares about giving up a donor list. I will share with you every donor who's ever given me $1. I would let you know how to go find them, okay? That's not who I am. So we're really geared around the solutions, and I really want to we want the solutions, and once we get the solutions, we put those solutions the Bible says you write it down, you make it plain, right? We put those solutions down on paper, and we send it to everybody and say, this is our vision. When I say that we have a partner, like I just told you, I was meeting with DHS on Sunday. There's money. He's telling you right. There's money. There is money out here, and there's a lot of organizations that are really geared around this. And even the city of Atlanta, so when we talk about arts programs, the city of Atlanta just passed an infrastructure bill, right? And this is the reason why I encourage everybody to pay attention to politics very carefully, because just because it says infrastructure bill, you need to know exactly what's in that bill, right? It's not always infrastructure bill. You will learn that about politics, they always sneak stuff into bills. So even though it may say health bill, they may have health bills in there, and they may have a road being built in the health bill, right? Literally in the infrastructure bill that the city of Atlanta just passed, they allocated $40 million for arts programs. Does that make sense that it's in the infrastructure bill? Why did they do? Why does those kind of things happen? It's not because they don't want us to know. It's because sometimes they don't want us to know, right? But we know that there's $40 million that has been advocated for arts programs, right? But it's in the infrastructure bill. So these are the things that we want to be able to share with you guys. So that when we start talking about we building like that center out, right? We talk about the arts. We know that we sit on Fulton and over here, we talk about the space that and I say we because I believe that it's a partnership already. I believe that sometimes God writes things in the heaven before we even get there, right? There's a reason why it's only us here today, okay? But even when I say that, when we talk about arts programs, when we talk about that, we have an obligation here because we sit on the border of Fulton and DeKalb. Like I said, the gym is DeKalb County. Where you sit at right now is Fulton County. But it's all in the city of Atlanta. So we have access to being able to tap into that. And BlackPush has already become a vendor. And like the politics or not, I don't care whether I like the person or not. It's about whether I can get some work done with the person. So that's important. And I'm going to turn the mic back over to you now. Wait.
Please talk into the mics so we can hear through the video. I know sometimes people don't like mics, but as production, so other people can see it, so we can send it out. Sorry, I'm just doing my job.
Appreciate you doing your job. I'm Ali Jenkins. I'm a partner with Hoop Nation, the facility. I am the founder of Manifesting Greatness, which is a youth program geared towards youth. I originally started it after working with boys' homes and realizing that I could do a lot more on the outside. So I started working through sports programs, and I just realized that sports is just not enough. So going into talking about the solutions, not a coincidence, talked about infrastructure because the vision of Manifesting Greatness is to build community infrastructure, which pools the support and the resources together to provide solutions, whether it's through sports, mentorships, because there are so many things that these youth need. But the three things that God gave me, that the importance of them understanding their identity, enlightenment, legacy. Those three things encompass their whole life. And so, but the thing about it is, it takes a village to do that. Yes, it's a lot of us out here with capes on, but we need other people to support. There's no hero that doesn't have a support system. So if we want these youth to become heroes, then they have to have a support system that supports them. And without their infrastructure, because like he was talking about, he became this hero in the sports world, but then didn't have the support system around him to help him communicate, translate everything that had to do with outside of sports. Who am I? And so, but when we talking about identity, when we talking about the enlightenment, and when we talking about legacy, if there are a group of people, you can start small, that are focused on helping these youth understand that, they can't help but greatness manifest. And so, we're dedicated to, we're working this every single day. None of us can do it by ourselves. And so, at the end of the day, we can write the vision, we can make it plain, but if people can't run with it, then we all gonna be. I just believe it's so important for us to really get locked into building this infrastructure at the end of the day, because the politics ain't gonna build our community. It might get funded, we gonna have to build it.
And you are a pastor, right?
Yes,
Put some respect on it. We're pastor, okay.
It's all right. We offices and titles don't, we just love God.
I have to say this, and he has a pastor's voice. Like, I don't even have that voice. I'm working on mine.
Well, first of all, we want to thank God for this opportunity to be here today. I came here looking for one thing, but I found something else. It's way more than what I thought it would be. And I want to just take a twofold approach to it real quick. First of all, God's got me in the book of Nehemiah right now. And see, Nehemiah was twofold. He was a guy that worked in government, but he was concerned about what was happening back on his block. And I'm a firm believer that right now, more than any time in our history, the gospel must be relevant to what people are dealing with today. And it's got to line up and it's got to touch people in that way. When it does, you don't have to worry about it. When it comes to money, this is something a partner of mine told me. He said, Kev, just keep focused on the mission, the money will come. I'm like you, I don't worry about money. I have all the resources in the world that I need if I'm focused on what God has given me to do. Now, young brother, the first thing I want to do to you is say, forgive the older generation for talking at you and not to you and helping walk out with you what we expect of you. Okay, that's the bottom line. Pain is what pushed me into this purpose. My family was the poster child for what can happen to a family when there's no when there is direction, but when certain things come into play that economics and things can feed into and cause things to happen. As you were speaking about the gun violence, I've been affected by that. My youngest brother took the life of a man when we were very young. As a result of that, I learned twofold in the courtroom how this works. Many times we focus on the victims, and we should, but nobody ever thinks about the family that is affected by the person that pulled that trigger. Because I saw what my brother killing this man did to my mother. It just, so it's a twofold thing. We can't focus on one and not focus on the other. It's the whole encompass of the entire family. My second point here is anything that we do in this life is done in two ways. It's taught and it's lived out. Whatever we're going to teach people, we got to be able to live it out in front of them. I believe we're in a time right now where fathers can no longer afford to just feel like, well, my kids are okay, my family's okay. You're going to have to be a father to a whole lot of other kids that may not have father role models. And I'm cool with that. I got sons all over the country, and they're not of my body, but they're of my spirit. And they love me, they respect me, and they're loyal to me. Why? Because I met them where they were. I helped them walk to where they wanted to get, and then provided the means for them to get it. So I think that what we're doing here today is great. There's never been a greater time. I'm telling people, too many folks is focusing on what happened during the pandemic. Let me just sum this up and I'm done. The bottom line, the pandemic came to shake this nation up. There are opportunities out here. But if you focused on what just happened instead of what's about to happen, you're going to miss it. So we're here today on twofold. I'm here for Georgia Works. What we do basically is we help men, unsheltered men, come off the streets. If they're coming out of prison, we help them to be able to gain gainful employment. We deal with them in a holistic way, reconnect them with their families. We have an 88% success rate for men not going back to prison. And I think that when it comes to these older men, what we have definitely got to do is we got to get some of these older men in the room with these younger men and have a dialogue. One thing I tell the older men in our program, because a lot of them, they look at their lives and they feel like they done messed it up and they done blew it. I said, man, let me tell you something. You're more valuable than you could ever think you were, because your life is something that can be told to someone behind you so that they don't make the same mistakes that you made. So in that regard, I teach a lot of the older men about Caleb, who had a lot of purpose. Even though he was old, God used him greatly. So we'll be here today until this is over with. On the ministerial side, I have a 501(c)(3). Strong Family Deliverance Ministry is the ministry that I work through. We're located in the Bronx, New York, and we're here in Atlanta, Georgia as well, okay? We have a threefold remnant to that ministry. One, for the young males, we have what we call the M&M group, for male to manhood. What does real manhood look like? Society will tell you it's one thing. We want you to look at it from the role that God designed to be. Two, there's a branch for daddies and daughters. This ministry came out of the result of me losing my firstborn in 2005. God took her home. Out of that, I developed daddies and daughters. And then we do a lot where we say we want to do with the youth, but let's not forget the parents. It ain't easy raising kids right now. So we have a component there called the Parent Club. We remember the parents. We think about the parents, but whether they be young or old, it could be Big Mama now raising children. She need help. So on that note, I just want to thank you for this opportunity, and I do believe God's hands is on this, and it will excel. God bless you.
Well, I'm not part of any big organization. I guess God's say that. But I'm glad to be here. My name is Reggie, friend of Melvina, and I'm a friend of everybody. I'm just glad to be here, and I would like to say, white lives matter. Right, y'all hear? I'm gonna let that soak in. White lives matter. like that young man said, the color doesn't matter, but we tend to go to color. All lives matter. And but I'm glad to be here, and I'm thankful for what the bishop just said. And actually, I need some prayer. All these ministers, did anybody start out with prayer? Okay, we're gonna close out prayer. Okay. All right. Well, I'm just glad to be here. I'm Reggie. I have my daughter here with me, and I just want to be a support system, whatever I can do to help. So glad to be here, and glad to see everybody. And I believe I'm gonna get a young man a call about some life insurance too. If it's reasonable. Is it reasonable price? Okay, all right. Well,
and I want to say this, and I hope, please don't judge me. I am extremely tight on schedule today. So we, like 12:55, I have to get out of here because I have a 1 o'clock Zoom meeting. But the conversation does not stop. So please don't judge me, please. I'm so sorry. I want to apologize in advance. But let's give him a mic because he has to leave out soon. And then we'll come right back to you. Okay, Ms. Charmaine? Got it right this time.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Tony Griffin. I'm the founder and 501c3 called Georgia Vocational Solutions. We work with men and women to reduce recidivism in our community. And we work with Fortune 500 companies that can offer people that have prior convictions and offer them employment. But what we do is we collaborate when it comes to training them. So we have a training aspect. We have a school, and that school trains the adult male. I know Grady called me about maybe a month ago, and they had a youth intervention program that they had got grant funding for, and they wanted me to be involved. And I just didn't have a platform for it because our student starts at 18 to 66. So when they said it was 14 to 18, I had to decline the commitment, and I didn't have no one else to go to. So I do apologize. But we stay focused on the commitment of the training. The training gets a young man like himself, we put him in an IT program where we would train him how to network, go into Walmarts or Home Depots, pull cable, network those cash registers together. And in turn, he can either become an entrepreneur and do that, or he can either work for a Fortune 500 company and do that. And we place him in that Fortune 500 company, and we tell that Fortune 500 company, he does have a prior conviction, but we have a job readiness program. That job readiness program readies him to go to work in that culture, because African American men sometimes don't understand the culture of some companies. And we train that. We have to go into the company and kind of look at their culture, determine the racial aspects of it. We don't play the race card, but we try to figure out the racial culture. And in turn, we try to simulate that culture, because simulation is good. Collaboration is one of those, but simulation is just as good. So we put you in a Fortune 500 company. We just did a huge Amazon job fair in the city of Atlanta, and it was huge. Amazon paid for it, but we helped our people. I think we got about 150 jobs out of that, and in turn, Amazon hired 150 people from our school. So it was intense, but it's doable. So these Fortune 500 companies, they have what they call reentry. They hate to call it prior conviction. They hate the word conviction in their culture. So we use what we call reentry. We reacclimate the student via the training. So Amazon or a Walmart or a Home Depot or a PSS, we have a whole bunch of companies that will help acclimate people. I always like to use the right words because sometimes we use wrong words and we define it by that. So I appreciate the young man here giving us the platform. Georgia Vocational Solutions is that solution to recidivism. We deal with the men and women. We deal with veterans that are homeless. We deal with homeless individuals. We deal with, our mission is prior conviction. If you have a conviction, we don't even ask you what the conviction is. We just place you We train you either on a forklift, boom lift, if you want to go into the medical field, if you want to go, whatever field you want to go in. We'll find a job that cookie cuts what you want to do. I think we've been on your show before. We don't do any mental health. We don't do any mental evaluations. Someone else has to do that. So we tend to stay in our lane. And I think Ms. Melvine, she asked me to come and speak. And I enjoy what we do. But we want a partnership with you in some way to bring that solution piece to job readiness and job training. And once they get that readiness, like this young man, and once I can take him from where he's at and teach him a skill that 90% of the people behind him doesn't have, I know he's ready. And once he's ready and he readies himself, at that point, he can ask for that six-figure job. I had a gentleman that was a veteran that was homeless. He works for EA Sports now. He's making six figures. He came to our school. We got him a job at EA Sports in California. They hired him and gave him six figures. It was unheard of for me, but he was a veteran. But it didn't matter. He was sleeping in his car. Same thing with a woman. She was sleeping in her car. I said, where do you live? She says, in my car. That was unheard of for a woman, but I didn't call Melvine. I wanted to, but I had to ready her in her mind. Are you ready to get out of your car? So at that point, she had a job that she wanted to work from. She did not want to go into a building. Maybe it was PTSD. But she says, I don't want to go into a building. So she ended up getting a house, and in turn, we kind of collaborate with her with housing, and then in turn, when she got her house, her apartment, we got her a job in her house. So this is doable. We just have to work with collaboration to get this done. So we are a solution. If you want to find us, it's hiringworkshops.com. That's how everybody knows us. And go back to what you said. The city of Atlanta, bless their heart, we work with their chief of staff. I raised Mr. Dinkins' chief of staff, and we work with him, and in turn, but when I went to a meeting, he says, well, let me tell you about criminals. So when you just said that, some people don't care about the word criminal. He says they're done. Society doesn't want to give them $1. So your program is good, but society doesn't want to give them any money for resources. And we're not here to ask for resources. We can do it all by ourselves. At the same time, get a skill. Get a skill that nobody can tell you no. Get a skill under your belt, young man. Get a skill. All these young men and women, I always tell them, get a skill under your belt. And I have to go because I have to be somewhere else, and I got to be a million places at one time. But we have a team. We have a team that can help, and we want to partner with you in whatever means, whatever we can do to make that happen. We're more than happy to do that, okay? And I do have a kit for you, sir. Yeah, here you go. Thank you. If you guys have any questions, you can go to my website, hiringworkshops.com or mygbs.org. Thank you.
I'm going to speak quickly because I know you have to go, so I'll keep it short. But I met you through Moms Demand Action, an organization that I volunteer with, and Everytown for Gun Safety. I started and founded my organization, Jared's Heart of Success, in honor of my son, who was tragically killed to senseless gun violence in 2015. So our organization, we empower and educate youth and young adults in the areas of gun violence prevention, but also through conflict resolution, because that is what we work in our organization. So I'm happy to be here today and to partner with BlackPush through Jared's Heart of Success and bringing conflict resolution skills and strategies to youth in this community.
Hi, my name is Vania Trone. I was originally born in Atlanta, Georgia. I've actually seen you preach. My grandmother went to For Eternity. Yeah, you were a visitor a few times. But very small. But a background story for me, I had a friend, her name was Katie. Growing up, I met her, she was always smiling, wanted somebody to make you laugh. You were going through something, you needed somebody to talk to. Everybody went to Katie. And Katie got into some trouble. Katie became a convicted felon. But I used to always motivate her, tell her, like, it's not the end of your journey. Like, you know, God has a greater purpose for you. Like, the way that you enter a room and just everybody's always want to gravitate towards you, talk to you, hear your story. And I guess, like, over time, it wasn't enough. Katie got into some more trouble. She did some more time in jail, but, like, it's so crazy. I didn't know she went back because we had a, like, friend date. And I called her sister. I'm like, oh, where's Katie? Like, they was like, oh, you know, we had a setback, but she's going to get out. And I told her to call Katie on three-way. And I told Katie, when you get out, I'm going to take you to get chicken wings. Katie loved chicken wings. And literally, I went to work the next day. I took my clothes with me. I'm like, I'm about to go cute. I'm about to go outside. And her sister called me and was like, Katie committed suicide last night. I'm like, what? And she was like, yeah, Katie went home, got out of jail, came home, prayed with everybody, ate with the family, literally went in her room and shot herself. And I'm the type of person, like, it didn't really hit me right away because it's just like, wow. Everybody loves you. You're a great person. And I told her, like, just because you're a felon doesn't mean, like, society is always going to judge you. Before she went in, she found a good job. Somebody offered to sponsor her for her CDLs. She was making good money. She was paying her probation on time. So I'm like, it wasn't the end, so why did you end it? And for the longest, I was so angry, and I just did not understand. But over time, I just asked, like, how did she get a gun? Where did the gun come from? Why was it not in a gun safe? And I grew up with guns. But I was taught, if you don't see it, you don't touch it. If you don't hear it, you don't ask about it. So that goes to show I do believe in concealed carry, open carry. I believe in defending myself. And my solution would be, a lot of people when they buy guns, they're not educated on guns. They're not educated on guns. I spend so much time at the range, time and time again, I see people come in, and what really bothers me, you have so many 14 to 18-year-olds coming in, and you have to be with somebody that's 21 or older, but it's no type of, I don't know if that's your brother, your father, your uncle, but no, that's somebody that could be off the street training you to kill somebody on the street. And it's like, just to touch what you said, when you buy a gun, you have to have a background check, but it's on a federal basis. It's not on a state basis. And so what bothers me, if a child was flagged in elementary school for bipolar or schizophrenia, and he wasn't flagged anymore during high school or college, and then he goes and buys a gun, so it's like, now what? And so, and I hang around a lot of people that shoot at the range, that educate people on guns, and I can say one thing that we all have in common, and I asked them, like, you know, why did you get in guns? Why did you want to train people how to shoot a gun, how to defend yourself? Because they always say, if I can teach one black boy how to properly shoot a gun and when to use it and when not to use it, that makes my day. And a lot of people, my grandmother always told me, a man's greatest accomplishment is to let him get another man out of character. I tell people time and time again, just because you say something to me, I'm not going to pull my gun. You defend me, I'm not going to pull my gun. You cause destruction, I'm not going to pull my gun. Gun laws protect me, and it's gun laws to protect other people, and people do not know what the gun laws are. They hear one thing and they run with it. The new gun laws that have came out recently, they hear one thing that benefits them and they run with it, and that's not always the case. A lot of people don't know, in the state of Georgia, certain counties, you have to fire a warning shot before you defend yourself. So you thinking you just shooting somebody off right because they're causing bodily harm to you or your property, that you're safe. You're not safe. A lot of kids, they go outside and they get permits or don't have a permit, and you're just out here slinging a gun, and it's just like, why? That's not why gun laws were put in place. That's not why you're able to purchase a gun now. So my solution is, and I have friends that have gun training, they teach people how to shoot guns, how to properly store guns, and I can't say it does start at home. I've been to so many people's houses, they leave guns laying around, they don't have gun safes, they don't teach their kids when to pull the gun, when not to pull the gun, and it starts at home. And it's so sad. I've seen so many domestic violence situations where a child is trying to defend a parent or whatever, and then they end up shooting the parent on accident. Or the gun is not properly stored away, and the child shoots the parent on accident. And now that child has to live with the thought of, like, I did that to my parent, and now I'm parentless. And now that child has to fight demons, and they don't have a support system, or they don't know what really happened or what should have happened, and that's really sad. So my solution would be, if we could just partner with somebody or a group of people that could teach young people, gun violence is not always the answer, but if you choose to carry a gun, take the proper steps to educate yourself, to educate yourself on how to carry a gun and how to shoot a gun. Because there's plenty of times, I don't know why people carry guns in their pockets. I don't know why they just carry it in their bra. It's really crazy to me. And before I educated myself on guns, I never wanted a gun. But a lot of people don't know, I was shot when I was 16. When I first moved back to Atlanta from East New York, sorry to the Bronx, East New York, but I got robbed. I had just bought me a brand new car. I was outside, and it's crazy, I got robbed a block away from Wright Street. And he pulled out a .22 revolver on me, and I didn't even know I was shot because he was little. We was the same size. I'm like, you're not about to like really take my car. We going toe to toe. And I didn't know I was shot until everybody was just screaming my name. Everybody was just running. And I walked back in the house. I'm like, what is everybody so mad for? Like, it was my car. Like, I got robbed. And they're like, you're shot. I'm like, oh, I'm shot. And I didn't tell anybody when my car was registered in my grandmother's name. And she called me crying. I'm like, what you crying for? Like, what's wrong? She's like, why you didn't tell me? I'm on my way. My grandma does not drive on the hospital. So she had the highway. So she had to find somebody from her church to drive her to me. And I was just like, I'm okay. And she started praying. And she was like, don't go buy a gun. Like, it's okay. Like, we're going to get through it. Like, God is going to be our favorite. Like, I'm just like, I don't want to hear this right now. I just got shot. Like, I was so angry. And I felt like if I didn't have my grandmother, I would have went and bought a gun. I would have went and drove around, finding somebody to be mad at, looking for trouble. That's why I say everybody needs a support system, because everybody wasn't blessed how I was. And I lost my grandmother in 2020, and I still was angry. I still didn't go buy a gun. I didn't start getting into guns until 2021. But now that I see like gun violence has gone up, and recently last week I did lose a friend that I grew up with to gun violence in East New York. Like, it's becoming too much, like mentally and emotionally. And so if we could just all come together to properly educate other kids or people of age how to defend yourself in a respectful manner, then I feel like gun violence would be affected in a positive way.
Excuse me, I forgot what your name was. Earlier you said something about the younger generation forgiving the older generation, and I wanted to speak on that because when my father was getting locked up, like every other year, and he was going to prison. He was away for a while. So while I was growing up, I had to learn things on my own. We used to work on houses together. It's like that paused. Like I didn't learn anything else from that. Just paused. So learning to talk to women, do different things, just learning how to be a man. I had to learn some of that. But as I grew older, I just had to learn how to forgive him because he was making mistakes because of the knowledge he had. He was just going off of what he knew. And that was the best way he knew how to go. And I always thought he was supposed to be perfect and just know everything to tell me. So when he was gone, that hurt me. I didn't know what to do. So it just, like, as I'm growing older, like I'm grown now, I'm 25, I understand what he was doing, what he was trying to do. He was trying to make a way with the best knowledge he had. And I'm just now getting around to forgiving him. So I just wanted to say that.
Hello, my name is Ebony Hill. I'm here on behalf of Melvina Clark. I want to say that I feel like it's a lack of resources for single mothers. And because it's a lack of resources for single mothers, it makes the son feel like they have to step up and be the man of the house. My son actually used to work with me driving Uber because, I lost my job over the pandemic or whatever the case may be. And he would get tired of waking up in the morning like, oh, mommy, I can't wait till I get older and I get rich and I can support you. And I'm like, my son is only 7. That kind of made me change my vision on life itself. So I personally want to help mothers because I feel like the government does not help us. $350, we appreciate it, but we need a lot more. They feel like we have to have bukus of children to support us, period. I've had a government job, still couldn't get support. Government job, still didn't have no food in my refrigerator. So with that being said, I feel like if we support the mothers, because as a mother, we're gonna do everything in our power to make sure our child eat. Point blank, period. And that's just that, and I'm not gonna say I've always made the best choices. I'm from New York as well, and I was raised in Atlanta. I'm not gonna say I've made the best choices, but as a mother, I'm gonna make sure my child eats. So with my vision, TT Vina is what I call her, Melvina Clark. She has adopted me to be her niece now. She's helping me with my nonprofit organization to help single mothers, and that's my vision and solution.
great day to everyone. First, I want to thank everyone for being here and as well as your service and your sacrifice that you have committed. Truly is encouragement just to see those of us that's, doing what we need to do and the things that we believe that need to be done. My name is David Smith. They call me by title pastor, educator, special education teacher. I've been in this way for 32 years. So there's really nothing new under the sun. However, it's the same mirror at a different angle. So I'm really grateful to be able to be in the midst of people who are actually boots on the ground. Been doing boots on the ground for some time now. I've come full circle. I've just celebrated 53 years. I know I don't look 53, so we want to thank God for that piece. I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. Grew up in the city of Baltimore, West Side. No, sir, Baltimore. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, yes, ma'am. Been in Atlanta for 20 years now, so I'm home, and I'm very grateful. At this current moment, I also are part owner of Phoenix Horizon, which is an adult male facility in Loganville, Georgia, where we house men, give them job training, also connections to jobs, as well as the resources and the service that they need mentally, spiritually, and socially. But coming full circle, doing things from social service director, prison ministry, whatever I thought I needed to do. God has brought me full circle, and I'm the author of A Young Boy Named David. And I really believe now that God has switched my heart towards the children. I've been dealing with adults and children for a long time, but now it's really serious for me pertaining to the children. So A Young Boy Named David is basically a book series that's based on my real life story growing up in Baltimore, and what it is being used to reach children who may not have, traumatic situations or whatever, but it's a tool that any facilitator can reach any child wherever they may be. I'm very excited about it because now basically I get the chance to go back to really what I consider my first love, and that is the children. So if I can constantly be available to collaborate with everyone in whatever perspective that we can collaborate and work together in whatever capacity, then that's what we're going to do. But I'm so excited for A Young Boy Named David and the opportunity to get to the children before they get to adulthood. Frederick Douglass said, and somebody helped me out, it is easier to raise children than it is to mend broken men. So I want to be able to get to the children as well as the men. So our solution is this. We're going to house the men, teach them as well how to reach back to get the children, give them the skills that they need to come back to go to reconnect to their family and also with the community, as well as getting to the children where we can teach the children that they can be anything that they want to be. And if a young boy named David can overcome it, you can too. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Donna Green. I am the founder of Rainbow Green International Outreach of Hope. It is a 501c organization for missing and exploited children. This organization came about because I have a child that's been missing. My child was taken from my home when he was 5 days old. He's 43 now. I'm still looking for him. That put me on a journey to help other families of missing and exploited children. So what we do is we out in the community, we deal with the families dealing with the mental of having a child that's missing. And a lot of times when our children out there, they running from something. So you got them running away from home. You got them, we got the pedophiles out there, and we take a lot of things for granted. But if you think you got any children or grandchildren or anything like that, and you think a pedophile haven't already had their eyes on your children today, they're wrong. They didn't have their eyes on your children, and all they need is an opportunity. We educate so they won't get those opportunities to take our children out of our communities. My son been missing for 43 years now. He disappeared as thin air seemed like, and I'm constantly looking and searching and wondering where could he be. But then I deal with a whole lot of parents that when their child went to work at Checkers, they didn't show back up at home. You know, when their child went to work here, they didn't show back up at home. When their child went to school, they didn't show back up at home. And I got a lot of, get the emails of this one been missing, this one found dead, this one this one that. So we do have the gun violence out there. We definitely have that. But all of it is full circle. All of it one has something to do with the other. I don't have the, what do I want to say? I don't know the solutions to all of us, to all of the problems that's going on out here with the gun violence, with the missing, with the exploited, with the trafficking and all that. But I think if we come together as a unit, we can come up with some solutions and we can get some laws changed and we can get some things taken care of. And it's important to find out where the pedophiles at in your community. It's important to look at all these things because it matters. Our children matter, and they are missing in droves, in large amounts, and a lot of it we don't even know about they were missing. We don't even know the actual number of children that's going missing in our community. And that's one of the things that I do as far as media concerned, try to keep that information out there. So I do want to partner and be a part of what you all got going on because it matters. Our children matter and our community matters. Thank you.
I just want to say this. If you guys honestly listen, and the reason for me inviting every last one of these people in here, they all have a self-interest in helping their community. And like we said again, we're stronger together than we are divided. And when I say self-interest, if I could go back to Pastor David with a young boy named David. Here, she has a facility full of children. And we all know that when we were younger, we were told not to tell what happens to you at home stays at home. So therefore, why I say self-interest, his self-interest is in educating the kids. She has a facility. This is why collaborating with the right pieces together is very important. And these are solutions. That's why I invited every one of these people here. Even with Mama D, with missing and exploited children. A major part of gun violence happens, we get angry. Our children go missing, that anger sticks with us forever and ever. Anybody that come across us, what do? We react if they do one little thing. And that's why I keep saying it's important for your self-interest to partner and collaborate with people to where it makes sense. She can come in with BlackPush and educate the kids on missing and exploited, mental health. Those are the things that she does. Little boy named David can come to Miss Letitia's facility with them, educate the kids on the inappropriate touch and things of that nature. That's why I keep saying collaboration is very important. Self-interest is very important. And not only that, we talk about where we have these healthcare prices and how much we gotta pay for healthcare. Well, guess what? If we work together and educate the mind and we decrease the violence of the killing, healthcare is gonna go down. They have no reason to stay high. If we educate the mind and the people on the laws and everything else, guess what? There's no need for no lawyer because nobody's going to jail. You understand? So what we have to, when people say defund, in order to defund these places, you got to go educate the people. You understand what I'm saying? And by educating the minds of the people, then you can decrease the violence that happens in the community. You can decrease, but people don't understand, if you knew the cost of what it costs to clean up a crime scene, more than some of our salaries in here. You understand what I'm saying? So if we could cut that down or cut it out, we can. If we collaborate together and find our common interest in what somebody else is doing. Just because he's BlackPush with gun violence doesn't mean that, hey, she has Raymond Green International, she can't partner. That's not true. And I want people to get the understanding that collaboration is very, very important. We're stronger together. You understand what I'm saying? Her missing, she's educating. She's coming in and she's strengthening this program. with the youth, because he has his lane, like the young man that was sitting here. He has his lane. He's working with reentry. That's what we got to understand, that we all have a part to play, that we all have something to do. We don't have to fight. We don't have to go looking for funding. But if we come together and start making solutions happen and decreasing the things, the gun violence, the kids going missing, you get what I'm saying? The health care will come down. That money can go to other places. That money can fall right in your lap without you even have to chase it. Make sense? That's all I'm saying. Collaboration is very important. Find your self-interest in what you're doing and why you're doing what you're doing, and find somebody to partner with and excel in your skills to help educate. Education is the key to a lot of things, but not only education, it's the action. We can talk about solutions, but when do we start moving on them?
Got it, Mike. So I'm on my Zoom already, and they're waiting on me. You know, you guys are fine. And I do have to get on this call, but I would be remiss if I did not point out the fact that we are very much in an election season. And I would be remiss. I have been working since yesterday on different things that are going on throughout the state. You guys, sometimes the biggest voice we have in our society is our voice to vote. And I want to encourage each and every single one of you, I don't care what you're doing, your pastors and churches, please get your people out to vote. It's not for us to tell them who to vote for, but it's us. We need to educate ourselves on the people who are running for office and get out and vote. I mean, the gubernatorial race last night, there was 3 different visions for gun violence. Literally, there was 3 different visions for how we attack gun violence. And we have to start putting people in office who support what we're trying to do. We cannot sit around and cry about them not supporting us if we elect or we allow people to get in office who don't support us. And I want to say this too. One of the things that you guys will see, 3 things I want to offer you. First thing is that I hope everybody, when you came in, signed in with a lady named Barb downstairs, because we're going to share that information. So if anybody doesn't want us sharing information, your contact information, please let us know now. Second thing is that for anybody who wants to, like I said, we're going to be hosting people here on Friday to show them the second floor. If anybody wants to do a walkthrough of that second floor today, I have people in my office that can do a team. Maybe we can take a walkthrough of that space today. I won't be able to go on there with you, but I will come up and try to get on there. I have to get on this mediation, but we will try to do that. The third thing is this, is that we're going to send out this video to everybody, and I want you to share it with everybody, but we're going to make sure to share with people from all the way from the White House, all the way down to the local communities, right? Because I want them to hear your voice. We'll be on a tour throughout the whole week. I think starting tonight, I'll be in Macon tonight, and I'll be traveling throughout the whole state. I'll be down on, what day am I out? Thursday? But I have surgery on Thursday, but I plan on still going out of the surgery and going from there to Augusta that evening. So surgery Thursday morning, Augusta that evening. But when I say that, we have so much work to do. And I heard you. Everything that everybody said today, literally, I want you to know I heard you. One of the things that you will find out about me is I really don't sleep. Like, this is something that puts me to bed at 9 o'clock at night, but it wakes me up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And somebody once said to me is that I'm that person that will call you at 4 o'clock in the morning. So if you don't want me calling you at 4 o'clock in the morning, don't put your cell phone number on that sheet. I am not trying to, I'm serious about this. To go to places like Uvalde and to see where kids were shot at and go inside and see where they were killed at, it changes you. And we do a lot of work around the country, but it's time for us to start doing work here. So we are your partner. We are not egotistical, so you ain't got to worry about ego. We ain't trying to hide the money from you. We're going to tell you where the resources at, and we're going to tell you how to get it. I mean, I have a grant writer who's on board with us. If you need my grant writer, I will give you my grant writer. I am not that petty. We will work with you. We want to try to build this together. We have the space to do this at, and we have the freedom to do whatever we want to do with that space. And I will be remiss to not give a shout out to Reverend Timothy Mcdonald, who is my pastor, who serves here at this church. And if you don't know who Reverend Timothy Mcdonald is, he's a civil rights legend in this community. He does a lot of social activism. So he's very much involved in all this stuff. He wanted to be here today, but we are doing a lot of voting initiatives today. And we are on meetings literally like now about voting issues. And he's trying to vote himself. So if you have not voted, please go early vote. Please go early vote. And thank you for the young people, man. Thank you for you. Thank you for Dante. Thank you for your brother. Listen, and I hope at the end of the day that we heard them. That we heard them. One of the things that Dante did for me last week, he shook me so much last week. Literally, when I met him, we were getting ready to go into a meeting with like a whole bunch of nonprofits. So like, if you know anything about voting rights, I was with People's Agenda, Black Voters Matter, NAACP, and Georgia Stand Up. Like everybody was there, right? So I walk into the room and it's my turn to speak. And I wanted him to speak for me, literally, but it was too short of a notice. But he said something to me. He says that people got to stop expecting us to come where they are, and I'm paraphrasing, and they need to come see us where we are. And I went back into that meeting, and that was what I quoted him. So I already started quoting Dante, and I'm giving him his rep. So every place I go, we're not plagiarizing, right, Rondell? We ain't plagiarizing. We are giving him credit, but I know, all jokes aside, like, understand that with collaboration, it's not just your piece of the pie. It's not just your vision. It's a joint vision, and it's a joint piece of the pie. And I hear you. Like, I love everything. Like, I believe in writing it down and make it plain, but I also believe in Nehemiah. You mentioned Nehemiah. One of the things that I love so much about the story of Nehemiah is that when Nehemiah wanted to go back to Jerusalem to actually build the walls, when the king asked him, he said, "Why are you so sad?" He says, "Because I'm sitting up in the palace and I have a great job, but my people in Jerusalem don't even have walls to keep their city." The thing that I found so interesting about Nehemiah, because I'm a fan of Nehemiah, is that Nehemiah did not go back to the people and talk to the people in the city. The Bible says that Nehemiah went to the leaders. And the Bible says that the leaders began to work. And when the leaders begin to work, the people who follow those leaders begin to work. What am I trying to say is that we are in a room full of leaders. Catch this now. And if we could begin to work, we ain't got to tell everybody to follow us. People will just automatically start following us if they see us get to work. So we need to make sure that if we're going to do this, we're going to do this the right way. This collaboration is going to be strong. It's like rope. Take a whole bunch of ropes, put them together, you tie them things together, and you're going to have a strong rope. And I'm here to tell you that I'm a part. Listen, BlackPush will travel to Augusta, to Macon, to Savannah. And if we have to go out of country, out of state, we will do so. We have done it before, and we partner. When we have a partnership, you can ask. Anybody who's a partner of mine will tell you, Sean will show up and do whatever. Last week, I was literally in Columbus, Georgia, is where we went, Brendel, and I was out knocking on doors, canvassing for another organization, and my information wasn't on none of the flyers or nothing. But it's not about any of that for me. We went there for a purpose of going out and canvassing. I went out and knocked on doors, and then I came back here to Atlanta and went to a watch party and did it all, right? I'm here to work with you. If you want a worker, if you want somebody to work, Moms to Man Action can tell you, when they started their chapter in Cobb County, I was sitting right there in Cobb County with them. If you want a worker, BlackPush is your worker. And we'll give you all the resources. We will open up our doors. We have graphic designers here. We have a podcast room here. We have almost everything. If you need graphic designers, you need somebody to just help you make phone calls, we have people here. So if you guys want to take a tour, I would love for you guys to take a tour of our space and take a tour of that second floor, and let's dream together. Let's dream together. And I want to challenge you. The reason why, so I'm going to tell you this ahead of time. I have not cleaned up the second floor yet, but there's a reason why. There's a reason why I want to show it the way it is now. It's because the people I want to work with, and I want to make this clear, the people I want to work with in this season, and for the pastors, you should get a hallelujah out of this one. The people I want to work with in this season is people who have vision. If you don't have vision, you can't work with me. I'm sorry. I'm a visionary. I believe in vision. So I want to show it to you the way it looks now, because I want you to be able to see past what it looks like now and see the potential. And if you can do that, we can work together. So I want to thank you guys for coming out. I want to just congratulate every single one of you. Thank you for spending your Tuesday with us. Please go out and vote. Please, let's not stop the work that we're doing. If you guys want to do the tour, we won't hold you long. We will do it immediately after here. Rondell, have Andre, you with me, Rondell? Have Andre take them up to the second floor for whoever want to go, do a walkthrough of it, see what's going on up there. And then too, when I say that the church has opportunities, not only do we have that space, we have a whole nother space that we're looking at within this same church that used to be, and cut this, Rondell, cut me.